In this video, we will discuss Dictionary section GST Act 1999. We will explain dictionary words and their meaning. Please note that these meanings of words explained will only be relevant to GST purposes unless regulations specify any other meanings. Please find disclaimer on screen. If this is your first visit to our channel, we would like to inform you that this video is part of a video series explaining GST Act 1999. Are you interested in learning more about GST Act Australia? Please check our playlist on our YouTube channel for this subject. This is video number 9 of GST series. In this video we will discuss Division 195 from Chapter 6 Volume 2 of GST Act 1999. This section of GST Act is Dictionary of this Act. GST Dictionary have about 383 words in total on April 11, 2023. Word count is subject to change in future. Please find this section in Volume 2 of Chapter 6 of GST Act 1999 from pages 171 to 217. There is link in description box. You can access free copies of GST Act there. We will try to explain all dictionary words in our sequence videos of this playlist. In this video, we will explain dictionary words contained in pages 192 to 200 from Volume 2 of GST Act. For pages 171 to 191, please check our previous videos. We have explained those pages. We will explain from word, GST religious group, to word, net amount, of GST Dictionary. We will discuss this video in following order. 1. List of words from GST Act. 2. Explanation of listed words and their meaning. 3. A question and answer activity for you. Let's launch into. Please find on screen words from GST Act 1999. We will explain these words later on in middle section of this video. These words are from Division 195 of GST Act. This division is last division of GST Act 1999. On screen are the words from pages 192 to 200 of Volume 2. Please check our last video, that is video number 7 of GST video series. We will read the words as we go along. If you can, please pause and read other related information with words, or go to GST Act to read the information thoroughly. Not all the meanings are explained in GST Dictionary. What this means is that other sections of GST Act explain these meanings. We will find those sections within Act or outside and try to explain mentioned words in later sections of this video. Please find on page. Word number. 1. GST religious group. 2. GST return. 3. GST turnover. 4. Head company. 5. Health minister. 6. Higher education institution. 7. HIH company. Next page. That is page number 193, word number. 8. HIH rescue entity. 9. Hire purchase agreement. 10. Home care. 11. Hospital treatment. 12. Hybrid settlement sharing arrangement. 13. Import. 14. Inbound intangible consumer supply. 15. Incapacitated entity. 16. Incidental valuable metal goods. Next page is page number 194, word number. 17. Income year. 18. Increasing adjustment. Next page is page number 195. Word number. 19. Indirect tax zone. 20. Individual. Next page is page number 196. Word number. 21. Industrial instrument. 22. Ineligible for the margin scheme. 23. Inherit. 24. Input tax credit. 25. Input taxed. 26. Installment tax period. 27. Installment turnover threshold. 28. Insurance broker. Next page. Page 197. Word number. 29. Insurance policy. 30. Insurance policy settlement sharing arrangement. 31. Intended or former application of a thing. 32. International transport. 33. Invoice. 34. Inwards duty-free shop. 35. ITA 1936. 36. ITA 1997. 37. Joint venture operator. 38. Legal practitioner. Next page for this video. Page number 198, word number. 39. Life insurance policy. 40. Limited registration entity. 41. Liquidator. 42. Local entry. 43. Lodged electronically. 44. Long-term accommodation. 45. Long-term lease. 46. Luxury car. 47. Luxury car tax. 48. Luxury car tax law. 49. Managing operator. Next page for this video. Page number 199, word number. 50. Managing operator's payment or supply. 51. Margin. 52. Margin scheme. 53. MEC group. 54. Medical practitioner. 55. Medical service. 56. Member. 57. Mineral deposit. 58. Minerals. Next page for this video. Page number 200, word number. 59. Monetary prize. 60. Money. 61. Net amount. We will explain these 61 words mentioned before from pages 192 to 200 of Volume 2 of GST ACT. We will try to explain mentioned words in this video in best possible manner. We would appreciate your feedback. We will have 3 parts and 7 sections explaining words for this video, 1 section for each page of GST Dictionary mentioned in this video. Section 1. We will explain these words on screen in Section 1 of this video, that is page number 192. You can find these words on page 192 in Division 195 of GST ACT Volume 2. We will discuss these words from GST Dictionary. Please find on page. Word number. 1. GST religious group. 2. GST return. 3. GST turnover. 4. Head company. 5. Health minister. 6. Higher education institution. 7. HIH company. Firstly, we will look at meaning of word. GST religious group has the meaning given by Section 49 to 5. That is Section 49 to 5 GST ACT Volume 1, page number 181. Section 49 to 5 states: Approval of GST religious groups. The Commissioner must approve 2 or more entities as a GST religious group if a. The entities jointly apply in the approved form for approval as a GST religious group, and b. Each of the entities satisfies the membership requirements for that GST religious group, and c. The application nominates one of the entities to be the principal member for the group, and d. The entity so nominated is an Australian resident. A group of entities that is so approved is a GST religious group. Note: refusing an application for approval under this section is a reviewable GST decision. See Subdivision 110F in Schedule 1 to the Taxation Administration Act 1953. Next word. Word number 2. GST return means a return of the kind referred to in Division 31, that complies with all the requirements of Sections 31 to 15 and 31 to 25 of this Act and Section 388 to 75 in Schedule 1 to the Taxation Administration Act 1953, and includes a return given in accordance with Section 58 to 50 of GST Act. We will explain more about GST return in detail in future videos of this playlist. To stay updated, please subscribe to our channel or check out GST playlist on our channel. Word number 3. GST turnover. A. In relation to meeting a turnover threshold, has the meaning given by subsection 188-10(1), and B. In relation to not exceeding a turnover threshold, has the meaning given by subsection 188-10(2). Please check video number 4 of this playlist, namely, GST turnover, GST Australia, video 4. Next word. Word number 4. Head company of a consolidated group or a MEC group has the meaning given by subsection 995-1 of the ITAA 1997. Subsection 995-1 of the ITAA 1997 states: Head company. A. In relation to a consolidated group or consolidatable group has the meaning given by sections 703-15, and B. Of a MEC group has the meaning given by sections 719-75. Word number 5. Health Minister means the minister administering the National Health Act 1953. Next word. Word number 6. Higher education institution means an entity that is a higher education provider as defined in Section 16(1) of the Higher Education Support Act 2003, which states, Higher Education Support ACT 2003. When a body becomes or ceases to be a higher education provider. 1. A listed provider is taken to be approved as a higher education provider from the commencement of this Act. Word number 7. HIH company has the meaning given by section 322-5 of the ITAA 1997. Section 322-5 of the ITAA 1997 states: Rescue payments treated as insurance payments by HIH. 1. This act applies to you as if a payment you receive from the Commonwealth, the *HIH trust or a prescribed entity for assignment of your rights under or in relation to a * general insurance policy you held with an * HIH company. A. Had been made by the HIH company, and B. Had been made under the terms and conditions of the general insurance policy you held with the HIH company. 2. The HIH Trust is the HIH Claims Support Trust, established on July 6, 2001. 3. An HIH company is A. CIC Insurance Limited, or B. FAI General Insurance Company Limited, or C. FAI Reinsurances Proprietary Limited, or D. FAI Traders Insurance Company Proprietary Limited, or E. HIH Casualty and General Insurance Limited, or F. HIH Underwriting and Insurance, Australia, Proprietary Limited, or G. World Marine and General Insurances Proprietary Limited, or H. Another related company specified in writing by the Commissioner. That was it for page number 192. This was first section of this video. Now we will head to Section 2. Now we will explain words on page number 193 of Division 195 of GST Act Volume 2. This will be Section 2 of this video for Dictionary. Please find words on screen. 8. HIH Rescue Entity. 9. Hire Purchase Agreement. 10. Home Care. 11. Hospital Treatment. 12. Hybrid Settlement Sharing Arrangement. 13. Import. 14. Inbound Intangible Consumer Supply. 15. Incapacitated Entity. 16. Incidental Valuable Metal Goods. Word number 8. HIH Rescue Entity means A. The HIH Claims Support Trust, established on July 6, 2001, or B. The Commonwealth, or C. An entity prescribed for the purposes of subsection 322-5, 1 of the ITA 1997. Word number 9. Hire purchase agreement has the meaning given by Section 995 to 1 of the ITA 1997. Section 995 to 1 of the ITA 1997 states, hire purchase agreement means a contract for the hire of goods where the hirer has the right, obligation, or contingent obligation to buy the goods, and note, an example of a contingent obligation is a put option. 2. The charge that is or may be made for the hire, together with any other amount payable under the contract, including an amount to buy the goods or to exercise an option to do so, exceeds the price of the goods. And 3. Title in the goods does not pass to the hirer until the option referred to in subparagraph AI is exercised, or C. An agreement for the purchase of goods by installments where title in the goods does not pass until the final installment is paid. Next word. Word number 10. Home care has the meaning given by Section 45-3 of the Aged Care Act 1997. 45-3 of the Aged Care Act 1997 states, meaning of home care. 1. Home care is care consisting of a package of personal care services and other personal assistance provided to a person who is not being provided with residential care. 2. The subsidy principles may specify care that A. Constitutes home care for the purposes of this Act, or B. Does not constitute home care for the purposes of this Act. Next word. Word number 11. Hospital treatment has the same meaning as in the Private Health Insurance Act 2007. Next word. Word number 12. Hybrid settlement sharing arrangement has the meaning given by subsection 80-80(1). That is subsection 80-80(1) of GST Act Volume 1 page number 326. Subsection 80-80(1) states, meaning of hybrid settlement sharing arrangement. 1. A hybrid settlement sharing arrangement is an arrangement A. that relates to an accident or other incident or two or more related accidents or other incidents, and B. to which the parties are an entity that is the managing operator of a nominal defendant settlement sharing arrangement, or entities that are managing operators of nominal defendant settlement sharing arrangements that relate to the accidents or incidents, and 2. An operator or operators of a compulsory third-party scheme or schemes who have issued insurance policies to persons involved in the accidents or incidents, and C. under which one party, the managing operator, is to make one or more payments or supplies in settlement of a claim under the compulsory third-party scheme or one of the compulsory third-party schemes involved, relating to the accidents or incidents, and 2. Each other party, a contributing operator, is to make a payment to the managing operator in respect of that operator settling the claim. Meaning of managing operator's payment or supply. Next word. Word number 13. Import means import goods into the indirect tax zone. Next word. Word number 14. Inbound intangible consumer supply has the meaning given by Section 84-65. That is Section 84-65 of GST Act Volume 1 page number 347. 84-65 states, meaning of inbound intangible consumer supply. 1. A supply of anything other than goods or real property is an inbound intangible consumer supply if the recipient is an Australian consumer, unless A. The thing is done wholly in the indirect tax zone, or B. The supplier makes the supply wholly through an enterprise that the supplier carries on in the indirect tax zone. 2. Disregard Section 84-55 in determining whether paragraph 1b applies. Next word. Word number 15. Incapacitated entity means A. An individual who is a bankrupt, or B. An entity that is in liquidation or receivership, or C. An entity that has a representative. Word number 16. Incidental valuable metal goods means goods. A. Acquired for the purposes of sale or exchange, but not for manufacture, in the ordinary course of business. And B. That consist wholly or partly of valuable metal. And C. In relation to which any of the following applies. I. The goods are collectibles or antiques, and the goods are not precious metals. 2. At the time of the acquisition, the market value of the goods exceeds the valuable metal threshold. 3. The goods are in a class determined by the minister, by legislative instrument, for the purposes of this subparagraph. That was it for page number 193, friends. This was section 2 of this video. Now we will head to section 3. Now, we will explain words on page number 194 of Division 195 of GST ACT Volume 2. This is section 3 of this video, for dictionary. Please find words on screen. 17. Income year. 18. Increasing adjustment. Word number 17. Income year has the meaning given by section 995 to 1 of the ITAA 1997. Section 995 to 1 of the ITAA 1997 states. Income year. The basic meaning is given by subsections 4-10(2) and 9-5(2). Some provisions refer to a particular income year. They may describe it in different ways, for example, as the income year ending on June 30th, 1998, or the 1997-98 income year. For an entity that adopts an accounting period in place of the particular income year, the reference includes A. The adopted accounting period, or B. If the adopted accounting period ends under Section 18A of the Income Tax Assessment Act 1936. I. In relation to the commencing of the income year the adopted accounting period, as ending under that section, or 2. In relation to the ending of the income year the accounting period ending under that section on the day on which the adopted accounting period would, but for that section, have ended. Note 1. The Commissioner can allow you to adopt an accounting period ending on a day other than June 30th. See Section 18 of the Income Tax Assessment Act 1936. Note 2. An accounting period ends, and a new accounting period starts, when a partnership becomes, or ceases to be, a VCLP, an ESVCLP, an AFOF or a VCMP. See Section 18A of the Income Tax Assessment Act 1936. Next year. Word number 18. Increasing adjustment means an amount arising under one of the different provisions. Note, increasing adjustments increase your net amounts. Friends, due to vast meaning of this word we will discuss this in future specific video of this playlist. That was it for page number 194, friends. This was section 3 of this video. Now we will head to section 4. Now, we will explain words on page number 195 of Division 195 of GST ACT Volume 2. This is section 4 of this video, for dictionary. Please find words on screen. Word number 19. Indirect tax zone. 20. Individual. Word number 19. Indirect tax zone means Australia, within the meaning of the ITAA 1997, but does not include any of the following. A. The external territories. B. An offshore area for the purpose of the Offshore Petroleum and Greenhouse Gas Storage Act 2006, other than an installation, within the meaning of the Customs Act 1901, that is deemed by Section 5C of the Customs Act 1901 to be part of Australia and that is located in an offshore area. Next word. Word number 20. Individual means a natural person. That was it for page number 195, friends. This was section 4 of this video. Now we will head to section 5. Now, we will explain words on page number 196 of Division 195 of GST ACT Volume 2. This is section 5 of this video, for dictionary. Please find words on screen. 21. Industrial instrument. 22. Ineligible for the margin scheme. 23. Inherit. 24. Input tax credit. 25. Input taxed. 26. Installment tax period. 27. Installment turnover threshold. 28. Insurance broker. Word number 21. Industrial instrument has the meaning given by Section 995 to 1 of the ITAA 1997. Section 995 to 1 of the ITAA 1997 states: industrial instrument means A. An Australian law, or B. An award, order, determination or industrial agreement in force under an * Australian law. Word number 22. Ineligible for the margin scheme has the meaning given by subsection 75-5, 3, and 4. That is subsection 75-5, 3, and 4 of GST Act Volume 1 page number 262. Subsection 75-5, 3 states: 3. A supply is ineligible for the margin scheme if A. It is a taxable supply on which the GST was worked out without applying the margin scheme, or B. It is a supply of a thing you acquired by inheriting it from a deceased person, and the deceased person had acquired all of it through a supply that was ineligible for the margin scheme, or C. It is a supply in relation to which all of the following apply. I. You were a member of a GST group at the time you acquired the interest, unit or lease in question. 2. The entity from whom you acquired it was a member of the GST group at that time. 3. The last supply of the interest, unit or lease by an entity who was not, at the time of that supply, a member of the GST group to an entity who was, at that time, such a member was a supply that was ineligible for the margin scheme, or D. It is a supply in relation to which both of the following apply. I. You acquired the interest, unit or lease from the joint venture operator of a GST joint venture at a time when you were a participant in the joint venture. 2. The joint venture operator had acquired the interest, unit or lease through a supply that was ineligible for the margin scheme, or E. It is a supply in relation to which all of the following apply. I. You acquired the interest, unit or lease from an entity as, or as part of, a supply of a going concern to you that was GST-free under subdivision 38J. 2. The entity was registered or required to be registered at the time of the acquisition. 3. The entity had acquired the entire interest, unit or lease through a taxable supply on which the GST was worked out without applying the margin scheme, or F. It is a supply in relation to which all of the following apply. I. You acquired the interest, unit or lease from an entity as, or as part of, a supply to you that was GST-free under subdivision 38O. 2. The entity was registered or required to be registered at the time of the acquisition. 3. The entity had acquired the entire interest, unit, or lease through a taxable supply on which the GST was worked out without applying the margin scheme, or G. It is a supply in relation to which all of the following apply. I. You acquired the interest, unit or lease from an entity who was your associate, and who was registered or required to be registered at the time of the acquisition. 2. The acquisition from your associate was without consideration. 3. The supply by your associate was not a taxable supply. 4. Your associate made the supply in the course or furtherance of an enterprise that your associate carried on. V. Your associate had acquired the entire interest, unit or lease through a taxable supply on which the GST was worked out without applying the margin scheme. 3a. Subparagraphs 3g, 3, and 4 do not apply if the acquisition from your associate was not by means of a supply by your associate. And subsection 75-4 states: 4. A reference in paragraph 3b, c, or d to a supply that was ineligible for the margin scheme is a reference to a supply A. that was ineligible for the margin scheme because of one or more previous applications of subsection 3, or B. that would have been ineligible for the margin scheme for that reason if subsection 3 had been in force at all relevant times. Next word. Word 23. Inherit. You inherit a freehold interest in land, a stratum unit, or a long-term lease if you become an owner of the interest, unit, or lease. A. Under the will of a deceased person, or that will is varied by a court order. Or B. By operation of an intestacy law, or such a law as varied by a court order. Or C. Because it is appropriated to you by the legal personal representative of a deceased person in satisfaction of a pecuniary legacy, or some other interest or share in the deceased person's estate. Or D. Under a deed of arrangement if I. You entered into the deed to settle a claim to participate in the distribution of the deceased person's estate, and 2. Any consideration given by you for the interest, unit or lease consisted only of the variation or waiver of a claim to one or more other assets that formed part of the estate. Next word. Word 24. Input tax credit means an entitlement arising under Section 11 to 20 or 15 to 15. That is Section 11 to 20 or 15 to 15 of GST Act Volume 1 page number 35 and page number 43. Section 11 to 20 states, who is entitled to input tax credits for creditable acquisitions? You are entitled to the input tax credit for any creditable acquisition that you make. Section 15 to 15 states, who is entitled to input tax credits for creditable importations? You are entitled to the input tax credit for any creditable importation that you make. Next word. Word 25. Input tax has the meaning given by subsection 9-30(2) and division 40. That is subsection 9-30(2) and division 40 of GST Act Volume 1, page number 23 and 150. Subsection 9-32 states, 2. A supply is input taxed if A. It is input taxed under division 40 or under a provision of another act, or B. It is a supply of a right to receive a supply that would be input taxed under paragraph A. Note: if a supply is input taxed, there is no entitlement to an input tax credit for the things that are acquired or imported to make the supply. See sections 11 to 15 and 15 to 10. Supplies that would be both GST-free and input taxed. And Division 40 states, Division 40, Input Tax Supplies. Table of Subdivisions. 40A Financial Supplies. 40B Residential Rent. 40C Residential Premises. 40D Precious Metals. 40E School Tuckshops and Canteens. 40F Fundraising Events conducted by charities, etc. 40G Inbound Intangible Consumer Supplies. Friends, Division 40 is a fairly big subject. We will make a separate video on input tax supplies. To stay updated, please subscribe to our channel or check our GST playlist. Next word. Word number 26. Installment tax period has the meaning given by subsection 162-55(3). That is page subsection 162-55(3), volume 2 of GST Act, page number 114. Subsection 162-55(3) states, 3. A tax period under this section is an installment tax period. Next word. Word number 27. Installment turnover threshold has the meaning given by subsection 162-5(2). So subsection 162-5(2) of GST Act Volume 2 is page number 109. Subsection 162-5(2) states, 2. The installment turnover threshold is A. $2 million, or B. Such higher amount as the regulations specify. Next word. Word number 28. Insurance broker has the meaning given by Section 11 of the Insurance Contracts Act 1984. Section 11 of the Insurance Contracts Act 1984 states, insurance broker means a person who carries on the business of arranging contracts of insurance, whether in Australia or elsewhere, as agent for intending insureds. That was it for page number 196. Now we head to Section 6. Now we will explain words on page number 197 of Division 195 of GST Act Volume 2. This is Section 6 of this video, for Dictionary. Please find words on screen. 29. Insurance policy. 30. Insurance policy settlement sharing arrangement. 31. Intended or former application of a thing. 32. International transport. 33. Invoice. 34. Inwards duty-free shop. 35. IDA 1936. 36. IDA 1997. 37. Joint venture operator. 38. Legal practitioner. Word number 29. Insurance policy means a policy of insurance, or of reinsurance, against loss, damage, injury or risk of any kind, whether under a contract or a law. However, it does not include such a policy to the extent that it does not relate to insurance, or reinsurance, against loss, damage, injury or risk of any kind. Word number 30. Insurance policy settlement sharing arrangement has the meaning given by subsection 80-5(1). That is subsection 80-5(1) of Volume 1 GST Act page number 317. Subsection 80-5(1) states, meaning of insurance policy settlement sharing arrangement. 1. An insurance policy settlement sharing arrangement is an arrangement A. that relates to an accident or other incident or two or more related accidents or other incidents, and B. to which the parties are the operators of a compulsory third-party scheme or schemes who have issued insurance policies to persons involved in the accidents or incidents, and C. under which one party, the managing operator, is to make one or more payments or supplies in settlement of a claim under the compulsory third-party scheme or one of the compulsory third-party schemes relating to the accidents or incidents, and 2. Each other party, a contributing operator, is to make a payment to the managing operator in respect of that operator settling the claim. Meaning of managing operator's payment or supply. Word number 31. Intended or former application of a thing has the meaning given by Section 129-40. Section 129-40 of GST Act Volume 2 page number 22. Section 129-40 states, working out whether you have an adjustment. 1. This is how to work out whether you have an increasing adjustment or a decreasing adjustment under this division, for an adjustment period, for an acquisition or importation. Method statement. Step 1. Work out the extent, if any, to which you have applied the thing acquired or imported for a creditable purpose during the period of time. A. Starting when you acquired or imported the thing, and B. Ending at the end of the adjustment period. This is the actual application of the thing. Step 2. Work out A. If you have not previously had an adjustment under this division for the acquisition or importation, the extent, if any, to which you acquired or imported the thing for a creditable purpose. Or B. If you have previously had an adjustment under this division for the acquisition or importation, the actual application of the thing in respect of the last adjustment. This is the intended or former application of the thing. Step 3. If the actual application of the thing is less than its intended or former application, you have an increasing adjustment, for the adjustment period, for the acquisition or importation. Step 4. If the actual application of the thing is greater than its intended or former application, you have a decreasing adjustment, for the adjustment period, for the acquisition or importation. Step 5. If the actual application of the thing is the same as its intended or former application, you have neither an increasing adjustment nor a decreasing adjustment, for the adjustment period, for the acquisition or importation. 2. Actual applications and intended or former applications are to be expressed as percentages. 3. If the thing is acquired through a reduced credit acquisition and, at the time of the acquisition, it was wholly for a creditable purpose because of Division 70, the extent to which it was acquired for a creditable purpose is the reduced input tax credit percentage prescribed for the purposes of subsection 70-5, 2, for an acquisition of that kind. Next word. Word number 32. International transport means A. In relation to the export of goods, the transport of the goods from their place of export in the indirect tax zone to a destination outside the indirect tax zone, or B. In relation to the import of goods, the transport of the goods from a place outside the indirect tax zone to their place of consignment in the indirect tax zone. Next word. Word number 33. Invoice means a document notifying an obligation to make a payment. Next word. Word 34. Inwards duty-free shop has the same meaning as in Section 96B of the Customs Act 1901. Section 96B of the Customs Act 1901 states, Inwards duty-free shop means a warehouse in respect of which the relevant warehouse license authorizes the sale in the warehouse of airport shop goods to relevant travelers. Proprietor. In relation to an inwards duty-free shop means the holder of the warehouse license that relates to the inwards duty-free shop. Next word. Word 35. Eden 1936 means the Income Tax Assessment Act 1936. Next word. Word 36. Eden 1997 means the Income Tax Assessment Act 1997. Word 37. Joint venture operator of a GST joint venture is the entity last nominated in relation to the joint venture as mentioned in paragraph 51-5, 1a, or 51-71c, but does not include an entity that does not satisfy the requirements of paragraphs 51-10c and f. Next word. Word 38. Legal practitioner means a person who is enrolled as a barrister, a solicitor or a barrister and solicitor of A. A federal court, or B. A court of a state or territory. That was it for page number 197, friends. This was section 6 of this video. Now we will head to section 7. Now, we will explain words on page number 198 of Division 195 of GST Act Volume 2. Please find words on screen. 39. Life insurance policy. 40. Limited registration entity. 41. Liquidator. 42. Local entry. 43. Lodged electronically. 44. Long-term accommodation. 45. Long-term lease. 46. Luxury car. 47. Luxury car tax. 48. Luxury car tax law. 49. Managing operator. Word number 39. Life insurance policy means a policy of insurance on the life of an individual. Next word. Word number 40. Limited registration entity has the meaning given by section 146-5. That is section 146-5 volume 2 GST Act page number 76. Section 146-5 states, Limited registration entities. 1. You are a limited registration entity for a tax period applying to you if an election under subsection 2 is in effect for you during the period. Electing to be a limited registration entity. 2. You may, by notifying the Commissioner in the approved form, make an election under this subsection if you are a non-resident who A. Makes, or intends to make one or more supplies that are I. Inbound intangible consumer supplies, or the second, offshore supplies of low-value goods that were, or would be, connected with the indirect tax zone, solely because of subdivision 84C, or B. Is, or intends to become, a redeliver of offshore supplies of low-value goods. When an election is in effect. 3. The election A. takes effect from the start of the tax period you nominate in the election, and B. If your registration is cancelled and the date of effect of the cancellation occurs after the start of that tax period, ceases to have effect on the date of effect of the cancellation, and C. If paragraph B does not apply and under subsection 5 you revoke the election, ceases to have effect at the start of your first tax period to start after the revocation. 4. However, the election never takes effect if your registration is cancelled and the date of effect of the cancellation occurs on or before the start of the tax period you nominate in the election. Revoking an election. 5. You may, by notifying the Commissioner in the approved form, revoke an election under subsection 2. 6. However, subsection 5 does not apply if you have been notified that the Commissioner has decided to cancel your registration, whether or not the cancellation has already taken effect. Next word. Word number 41. Liquidator has the meaning given by subsection 6(1) of the ITA 1936. Subsection 6(1) of the ITA states, liquidator means the person who, whether or not appointed as liquidator, is the person required by law to carry out the winding up of a company. Next word. Word number 42. Local entry has the meaning given by Section 5 to 30 of the Wine Tax Act. Section 5 to 30 of the Wine Tax Act states, local entry of imported wine, AD 10. 1. The local entry table sets out the situations that amount to a local entry of imported wine for the purposes of the wine tax law. The rest of this section deals with situations involving the withdrawal of a customs entry, or multiple local entries of the same wine. 2. The withdrawal of the customs entry underlying a formal local entry. The earlier local entry usually has the effect that the earlier local entry is taken never to have happened. However, if A. there is a later formal local entry after the withdrawal, and B. the tax on that later entry would be less than the tax on the earlier local entry, then the earlier local entry is taken never to have been extinguished, and the later entry is taken never to have happened. 3. If a formal local entry happens after a deemed local entry, the formal local entry is taken never to have happened. 4. If a deemed local entry happens after a formal local entry, the formal local entry is taken never to have happened. Next word. Word number 43. Lodged electronically has the meaning given by subsection 31-25(3). That is subsection 31-25(3) of GST Act Volume 1 page number 92. Section 31-25 states, electronic lodgement of GST returns. 1. You may give your GST returns to the Commissioner by lodging them electronically. Note: Section 388-75 in Schedule 1 to the Taxation Administration Act 1953 deals with signing returns. 2. However, if your GST turnover meets the electronic lodgement turnover threshold, you must give your GST returns to the Commissioner by lodging them electronically, unless the Commissioner otherwise approves. Note 1. A penalty applies if you fail to lodge your GST return electronically as required. See Section 288-10 in Schedule 1 to the Taxation Administration Act 1953. Note 2. If you lodge your GST return electronically, you must also electronically notify the Commissioner of other BS amounts. See Section 388-80 in that schedule. 3. A GST return is lodged electronically if it is transmitted to the Commissioner in an electronic format approved by the Commissioner. 4. The electronic lodgement turnover threshold is A. $20 million, or B. Such higher amount as the regulations specify. Next word. Word number 44. Long-term accommodation. Long-term accommodation has the meaning given by subsection 87-20(1). That is subsection 87-20(1) of GST Act Volume 1 page number 367. Section 87-20 states: meaning of long-term accommodation, etc. 1. Long-term accommodation is provided to an individual if commercial accommodation is provided for a continuous period of 28 days or more in the same premises. A. To that individual alone, or B. To that individual, together with one or more other individuals who I are also provided with that commercial accommodation, and 2. Are not provided with it at their own expense, whether incurred directly or indirectly. 2. For the purpose of working out the number of days in the period for which an individual is provided with commercial accommodation. A. Count the day on which he or she is first provided with the commercial accommodation, and B. Disregard the day on which he or she ceases to be provided with commercial accommodation. 3. Commercial residential premises are predominantly for long-term accommodation if at least 70% of the individuals who are provided with commercial accommodation in the premises are provided with commercial accommodation as long-term accommodation. Next word. Word number 45. Long-term lease means a supply by way of lease, hire or license, including a renewal or extension of a lease, hire or license, for at least 50 years if A. At the time of the lease, hire or license, or the renewal or extension of the lease, hire or license, it was reasonable to expect that it would continue for at least 50 years. And B. Unless the supplier is an Australian government agency, the terms of the lease, hire or license, or the renewal or extension of the lease, hire or license, as they apply to the recipient are substantially the same as those under which the supplier held the premises. Next word. Word number 46. Luxury car has the same meaning as in Section 25(1) of the A New Tax System, Luxury Car Tax, Act 1999. Section 25(1) states: meaning of luxury car. 1. A luxury car is a car whose luxury car tax value exceeds the luxury car tax threshold. 2. However, a car is not a luxury car if it is A vehicle that is specified in the regulations to be an emergency vehicle, or that is in a class of vehicles that are specified in the regulations to be emergency vehicles, or B. Specially fitted out for transporting disabled people seated in wheelchairs, unless the supply of the car is GST-free under subdivision 38P of the GST Act, or C. A commercial vehicle that is not designed for the principal purpose of carrying passengers, or D. A motorhome or camper. Luxury car tax threshold general. 3. Subject to subsection 3A and 4, the luxury car tax threshold is A. The car depreciation limit that applied under the former subdivision 42B of the ETA 1997, or B. The car limit that applies under section 40 to 230 of that act, for the year in which the supply of the car occurred or the car was entered for home consumption. 3A. On and from July 1, 2012, the luxury car tax threshold is the luxury car tax threshold as at June 30, 2012, indexed according to a factor to be determined by the Parliament, and to apply from July 1, 2012 or, if such a factor is not determined by the Parliament, indexed annually in accordance with the CPI indexation method provided for by subdivision 960M of the ETA 1997, calculated using the index number referred to in subsection 960-280(1) of that Act. Luxury car tax threshold fuel-efficient cars. 4. If the car has a fuel consumption not exceeding 7 liters per 100 kilometers as a combined rating under National Road Vehicle Standards in force under Section 12 of the Road Vehicle Standards Act 2018, the luxury car tax threshold is the fuel-efficient car limit for the year in which the supply of the car occurred or the car was entered for home consumption. 5. The fuel-efficient car limit for the 2008 to 2009 financial year is $75,000. The limit is indexed annually using Subdivision 960M of the ITA 1997. 6. In indexing the fuel-efficient car limit, Subdivision 960M of the ITA 1997 applies as if A. The table in Section 960 to 265 of that Act included an item referring to the fuel-efficient car limit and to subsection 5 of this section, and B. The reference in subsection 960-271 of that Act to provisions of that Act included a reference to subsection 5 of this section, and C. Section 960 to 270 of that Act applied, and Section 960 to 285 of that Act did not apply, in relation to the fuel-efficient car limit, and C. The reference in subsection 960-282 of that Act to the car limit included a reference to the fuel-efficient car limit. Next word. Word number 47. Luxury car tax has the meaning given by Section 27 to 1 of the A New Tax System, Luxury Car Tax, Act 1999. Section 27 to 1 of the A New Tax System, Luxury Car Tax, Act 1999. States, luxury car tax means tax that is payable under the luxury car tax law and imposed as luxury car tax by any of these. A. The A New Tax System, Luxury Car Tax Imposition General, Act 1999, or B. The A New Tax System, Luxury Car Tax Imposition Customs, Act 1999, or D. The A New Tax System, Luxury Car Tax Imposition Excise, Act 1999. Next word. Word number 48. Luxury car tax law has the meaning given in Section 27 to 1 of the A New Tax System, Luxury Car Tax, Act 1999, which states, luxury car tax law means A. This Act, and B. Any act that imposes luxury car tax, and C. The A New Tax System, Wine Equalization Tax and Luxury Car Tax Transition, Act 1999, and D. The Taxation Administration Act 1953, so far as it relates to any act covered by paragraphs A to C, and E. Any other act so far as it relates to any act covered by paragraphs A to D, or to so much of that act as is covered, and F. Regulations under any act, so far as they relate to any act covered by paragraphs A to E, or to so much of that act as is covered. Next word. Word number 49. Managing operator has the meaning given by subparagraph 80-5, 1 CI, 80-40, 1 CI, or 80-80, 1 CI. That is Division 80 of GST Act Volume 1. Section 80-5, 1C1 states, under which one party, the managing operator, is to make one or more payments or supplies in settlement of a claim, under the compulsory third-party scheme or one of the compulsory third-party schemes, relating to the accidents or incidents, and 2. Each other party, a contributing operator, is to make a payment to the managing operator in respect of that operator settling the claim. Meaning of managing operator's payment or supply. Section 80-40, 1C1 states, under which one party, the managing operator, is to make one or more payments or supplies in settlement of a claim, under the compulsory third-party scheme, relating to the accidents or incidents. Section 80-80, 1C1 states, under which one party, the managing operator, is to make one or more payments or supplies in settlement of a claim, under the compulsory third-party scheme or one of the compulsory third-party schemes involved, relating to the accidents or incidents, and That was it for page 198 of Dictionary. Now we will head to Section 8. Now, we will explain words on page number 199 of Division 195 of GST Act Volume 2. Please find words on screen. 50. Managing operator's payment or supply. 51. Margin. 52. Margin scheme. 53. MEC group. 54. Medical practitioner. 55. Medical service. 56. Member. 57. Mineral deposit. 58. Minerals. Word number 50. Managing operator's payment or supply has the meaning given by subsection 80-5, 2, 80-40, 2, or 80-80, 2. That is in Division 80 of GST Act Volume 1. Section 80-5, 2 states, if a payment or supply mentioned in subparagraph 1c, I, is not a CTP ancillary payment or supply, it is a managing operator's payment or supply. Meaning of contributing operator's payment. Section 80-42 states, if a payment or supply mentioned in subparagraph 1c, I, is not a CTP ancillary payment or supply, it is a managing operator's payment or supply. Section 80-82 states, if a payment or supply mentioned in subparagraph 1c, I, is not a CTP ancillary payment or supply, it is a managing operator's payment or supply. Meaning of contributing operator's payment. Next word. Word number 51. Margin, in relation to a taxable supply of real property, has the meaning given by sections 75-10, 75-11 and 75-16. Note, this meaning is affected by sections 75-12 to 75-15. That is section 75 of Volume 1 GST Act. Friends, due to vast nature of this subject, we will discuss this in separate video. Next word. Word number 52. Margin scheme. A taxable supply of real property is under the margin scheme if subsection 75-5, 1, applies. That is subsection 75-5, 1, of GST Act Volume 1 page number 262. Subsection 75-5, 1 states, applying the margin scheme. 1. The margin scheme applies in working out the amount of GST on a taxable supply of real property that you make by a. Selling a freehold interest in land, or b. Selling a stratum unit, or c. Granting or selling a long-term lease, if you and the recipient of the supply have agreed in writing that the margin scheme is to apply. Next word. Word number 53. MEC group has the meaning given by section 719-5 of the ITA 1997. Income Tax Assessment ACT 1997 Sec 719.5 states, what is a MEC group? When MEC group comes into existence. 1. A MEC multiple entry consolidated group comes into existence when a. A choice by two or more eligible Tier 1 companies of a top company, that the potential MEC group derived from those companies be consolidated starts to have effect under Section 71955. Or b. A special conversion event happens to a potential MEC group derived from an eligible Tier 1 company of a top company. Original members of a MEC group that results from a choice. 2. A MEC group that results from a choice by two or more companies under Section 719-50 consists of the potential MEC group derived from time to time from whichever one or more of those companies continue to be eligible Tier 1 companies of the top company. This subsection has effect subject to subsection 4, which deals with new eligible Tier 1 members. Original members of a MEC group that results from a special conversion event. 3. A MEC group that results from a special conversion event consists of the potential MEC group derived from time to time from whichever one or more of the following companies continue to be eligible Tier 1 companies of the top company. A. The company mentioned in paragraph 719-40(1)(b). B. The company specified in the notice under paragraph 719-40(1)(e). This subsection has effect subject to subsection 4, which deals with new eligible Tier 1 members. New eligible Tier 1 members of a MEC group. 4. If A. A MEC group consists of the members of a potential MEC group derived from one or more eligible Tier 1 companies of a top company, and B. At a particular time after the MEC group came into existence, one or more other companies become eligible Tier 1 companies of the top company, and C. The asterisk provisional head company of the MEC group makes a choice in writing no later than the day mentioned in subsection 6(I), specifying one or more of the companies mentioned in paragraph B, and 2. Stating that the specified companies are to become members of the MEC group with effect from that time, and D. If I. A company specified in the choice was a member of another MEC group immediately before that time, and 2. All of the eligible Tier 1 companies in that other MEC group became eligible Tier 1 companies of the top company at that time. Each eligible Tier 1 company in that other MEC group is specified in the choice. Then, with effect from that time, the MEC group mentioned in paragraph A is taken to consist of the potential MEC group derived from time to time from whichever one or more of the following companies continue to be eligible Tier 1 companies of the top company. E. The companies mentioned in paragraph A. F. The companies specified in the choice. Note: the provisional head company of the group must give the Commissioner a notice in the approved form containing information about each entity that becomes a subsidiary member of the group on that day because of the choice. See sections 719 to 77 and 719 to 80. 5. To avoid doubt, paragraph 4a applies to a MEC group even if the composition of the group has been worked out because of one or more previous applications of subsection 4. 6. The day mentioned in paragraph 4c is A. If the company mentioned in subsection 6a is required to give the Commissioner its income tax return for the income year during which the time mentioned in paragraph 4b occurs the day on which that company gives the Commissioner that income tax return, or B. Otherwise the last day in the period within which that company would be required to give the Commissioner such a return if it were required to give the Commissioner such a return. 6a. The company is A. In a case where subsection 719-75(1) or 2 applies, the company that will be the head company of the group as at the end of the income year, and B. In a case where subsection 719-75(3) applies, the company that will be the head company of the group immediately before the group ceased to exist. Continued existence of MEC group. 7. If a MEC group, the first MEC group, consists of the members of a potential MEC group derived from one or more eligible Tier 1 companies of a top company, the first MEC group continues to exist until A. The potential MEC group ceases to exist, or B. There is a change in the identity of the top company, and the eligible Tier 1 companies that were members of the first MEC group immediately before the change become members of another MEC group immediately after the change, or C. There ceases to be a provisional head company of the first MEC group. The first MEC group ceases to exist when one of those events happens. Note: subsection 719-10(7) sets out the circumstances in which the potential MEC group ceases to exist. Next word. Word number 54. Medical practitioner means a person who is a medical practitioner for the purposes of the Health Insurance Act 1973. Next word. Word number 55. Medical service means a service for which Medicare benefit is payable under Part 2 of the Health Insurance Act 1973, or B. Any other service supplied by or on behalf of a medical practitioner or approved pathology practitioner that is generally accepted in the medical profession as being necessary for the appropriate treatment of the recipient of the supply. Next word. Word number 56. Member. A, in relation to a GST group, has the meaning given by section 48 to 7, or B, in relation to a GST religious group, means an entity currently approved as one of the members of the group under section 49 to 5 or paragraph 49-70, 1A, or C, in relation to a consolidated group, has the meaning given by section 703 to 15 of the ITAA 1997. Next word. Word number 57. Mineral deposit means a deposit of minerals and includes a deposit of sand or gravel. Next word. Word number 58. Minerals has the meaning given by section 40 to 730 of the ITAA 1997. Income Tax Assessment ACT 1997 Sect 40.730 states: deduction for expenditure on exploration or prospecting. 1. You can deduct expenditure you incur in an income year on exploration or prospecting for minerals or quarry materials obtainable by mining and quarrying operations if, for that expenditure, you satisfy one or more of these paragraphs. A. You carried on mining and quarrying operations. B. It would be reasonable to conclude you propose to carry on such operations. C. You carried on a business of, or a business that included, exploration or prospecting for minerals or quarry materials obtainable by such operations, and the expenditure was necessarily incurred in carrying on that business. Note: if Division 250 applies to you and an asset that is land. A. If Section 250 to 150 applies, you cannot deduct expenditure you incur in relation to the land to the extent specified under subsection 250-153, or B. Otherwise you cannot deduct such expenditure. 2. However, you cannot deduct expenditure under subsection 1 if it is expenditure on A. Development drilling for petroleum, or B. Operations in the course of working a mining property, quarrying property or petroleum field. 3. Also, you cannot deduct expenditure under subsection 1 to the extent that it forms part of the cost of a depreciating asset. Definitions. 4. Exploration or prospecting includes A. For mining in general and quarrying. I. Geological mapping, geophysical surveys, systematic search for areas containing minerals, except petroleum, or quarry materials, and search by drilling or other means for such minerals or materials within those areas. And 2. Search for ore within, or near, an ore body or search for quarry materials by drives, shafts, crosscuts, winzes, rises and drilling. And B. For petroleum mining. I. Geological, geophysical and geochemical surveys. And 2. Exploration drilling and appraisal drilling. And C. Feasibility studies to evaluate the economic feasibility of mining minerals or quarry materials once they have been discovered. And D. Obtaining mining, quarrying or prospecting information associated with the search for and evaluation of areas containing minerals or quarry materials. 5. Minerals includes petroleum. 6. Petroleum means A. Any naturally occurring hydrocarbon or naturally occurring mixture of hydrocarbons, whether in a gaseous, liquid or solid state. Or B. Any naturally occurring mixture of I. One or more hydrocarbons, whether in a gaseous, liquid or solid state. And 2. One or more of the following: hydrogen sulfide, nitrogen, helium or carbon dioxide, whether or not that substance has been returned to a natural reservoir. 7. Mining and quarrying operations means A. Mining operations on a mining property for extracting minerals, except petroleum, from their natural site. Or B. Mining operations for the purpose of obtaining petroleum. Or C. Quarrying operations on a quarrying property for extracting quarry materials from their natural site, for the purpose of producing accessible income. 8. Mining, quarrying or prospecting information is geological, geophysical or technical information that A. relates to the presence, absence, or extent of deposits of minerals or quarry materials in an area, or B. is likely to help in determining the presence, absence, or extent of such deposits in an area. That was it for page number 199 of Volume 2 GST Act. Now we will head to Section 9. We will discuss words on page number 200. Please find words on screen. This is last section of this video. 59. Monetary prize. 60. Money. 61. Net amount. Word number 59. Monetary prize means A. Any prize or part of a prize in the form of money or digital currency, or B. If the prize is given at a casino, any prize or part of a prize in the form of I. Money or digital currency, or 2. Gambling chips that may be redeemed for money or digital currency. Next word. Word number 60. Money includes A. Currency, whether of Australia or of any other country, and B. Promissory notes and bills of exchange, and C. Any negotiable instrument used or circulated, or intended for use or circulation, as currency, whether of Australia or of any other country, and D. Postal notes and money orders, and E. Whatever is supplied as payment by way of I. Credit card or debit card, or 2. Crediting or debiting an account, or 2. Creation or transfer of a debt. However, it does not include F. A collector's piece, or G. An investment article, or H. An item of numismatic interest, or I. Currency the market value of which exceeds its stated value as legal tender in the country of issue. Next word. Word number 61. Net amount for a tax period has the meaning given by Section 17 to 5. However, A. It has the meaning given by Section 162 to 105 if the tax period is an installment tax period, or B. It has the meaning given by Section 123 to 15 if a choice under Division 123 to apply a simplified accounting method has effect during the tax period, and paragraph A. does not apply, or That was it for page number 200 of Volume 2 GST Act. Question and answer activity. That was it for this video, friends. This is a question and answer activity for you. Answering these questions will improve your understanding of this act. You can use this video or GST Act Volume 2 from pages 192 to 200 to answer these questions. There is a link in description box below. For a free digital copy of question sheet, please feel free to contact us. Question 1. What is HIH company? 2. What is incapacitated entity? 3. What is income year? 4. What is indirect tax zone? 5. What is inherit? 6. What is joint venture operator? 7. What is long-term lease? That was it for this video. If you have any questions in relation to this section, please don't hesitate to contact us. Please check out whole playlist about GST on our channel. Thanks for watching. To support us, subscribe to our channel.